Hey Ranger Nation, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Power Rangers Beast Morphers Secret Struggle, which is episode 8. And it feels kind of weird going back from the special that we had a while ago. So let's talk about this episode and I'll give you my thoughts. If you like this sort of content and you want to see more, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, as well as that cheeky notification bell to be notified when more videos drop. And with that, we're going to jump straight into it. We open up with Ben, Betty, and Nate, and the Beast X King Spin Saber, just what I would call it, the spin saber, has been finished and it's ready to be tested. So Ben and Betty are very kind of impressed with this, and Nate's more like, we've got to test it out. And what happens when Betty gets on of it? Some hijinks happen, and she kind of tests it all out all over the lab or the warehouse that they're in this one, which then causes her to fly and then fall into these kind of barrels. I find Nate quite funny in this one because he's not sure what's going on. He's like, oh, don't do that, don't do that. But when he sees Betty actually kind of properly test it and stuff, he kind of seems to relax a little bit more. Steel then walks in and he wants Nate to look at his Zord because it's kind of off. He notices that it could malfunction, and Nate's more like, oh man, I'm too tired. Can I do this tomorrow? I'll make sure I'll get it on it tomorrow. And Steel's like, okay, yeah, that's fine. But then Zoe walks in and she asks the same sort of question and says would Nate be able to help out? And he's like, yeah, I'll do it right now. And Steel's a bit kind of like, oh, hang on a minute. You just turned around and said that you can't. So why can you do Zoe's and stuff like that? When Steel does kind of point this out, Nate completely ignores him. And just goes straight to it. As Steel's kind of breaking this down, he then figures out and goes, oh my God, does my brother like you? And Zoe's like, no. And then all of a sudden she says, yes, she likes him as well. Zoe goes, no, dating is the last thing on my mind. And she kind of grabs her stuff and walks out. But there is a magazine that Steel finds. When Steel picks up this magazine, he kind of looks over it and it says the ultimate guide to first dates, which then Zoe comes clean and says, yes, Nate and I do like each other, which makes Steel extremely happy. Zoe then points out that Rangers can't date each other because this is a rule of Grid Battle Force. And Steel doesn't like this rule. He calls it silly. He says that people should be able to date because, love makes the world go around, etc., etc. Steel says he will not tell the other Rangers about it, and Zoe just leaves. She's kind of bummed out about it. Just walks out the warehouse or the lab. What is it? It's a hangar bay. We now come to a scene where Roxy has Morphex and is running around, kind of quietly whispering about where is someone. We find out that Evox is around the corner and he's asked her to bring us a Morph-X so he can turn into Mayor Daniels. Now, I'm going to kind of refer as this Evox because it's like Mayor Daniels in this and all that. So, as soon as Evox has turned into Mayor Daniels, Zoe comes around the corner and Evox turns around and says, hey, I'm being kind of attacked or kidnapped, help me. So with this, Roxy kind of turns around and plays along with it. We get a solo morph from Zoe, which we don't normally see that often. I think the first time we saw it was back in season 1, but she had her friends around. This is a complete solo fight, which I generally really like. So with this, Zoe morphs and she goes at Roxy and they start fighting. I do love Roxy in this. I love her attack where she actually just literally drops her weapons and she uses them as kind of whips, which we saw in Gokaija. So this is kind of a really nice nod, but I really like the fact that Roxy just starts kind of letting go. Zoe activates her X visor, which then powers her up to her normal mode. She wins the fight against Roxy by doing this kind of spin kick, which kind of reminded me of Kamen Rider. Zoe then takes the mayor back to Grid Battle Force and she explains what's going on, and they kind of really now want the mayor to be safe. So Nate injects a tracker, and I like the mayor's response because he literally freaks out. And the only reason why I like this is mainly because, if when we come to the end of the episode where I tell you, it kind of would be an interesting thing if this was much later on where they tracked the mayor and was like, oh, you're Evox now, oh my God, but we've noticed you everywhere around. That would have been kind of cool. When Evox freaks out, everyone kind of takes notice on this, mainly Devon and Ravi, and it's really interesting because you kind of think that you wouldn't see this reaction from the mayor. Everyone now kind of agrees that the mayor needs security. And this is when Steele kind of puts Nate and Zoe together and says, hey, you are now to look after the mayor. And the mayor knows exactly what's going on. I did say I was going to reference him as Evox. So Evox now knows what's going on and he's freaking out. So he kind of watches where Steele goes as he's left the lab as well. And he then turns around and contacts his Blaze and Roxy and lets them know the situation. He needs Morph X straight away. Now, Blaze and Roxy are freaking out, more Roxy than anything. You know, she's saying like, yes, we will make sure that we get it to you. We have to. And they come up with a plan. Now, I really like this next part where we have Nate and Zoe kind of getting ready for their mission. But this is when Ben, Betty, and Steele kind of come in. Ben has these things called clothing capsules, which have different kind of clothes inside them. Ben just literally just throws them at Nate and Zoe, which then causes them to go into like a tux as well as a dress. And it's really cool because I think that they both suit these outfits like 100%. I think it'd be kind of really interesting that at the very end of the season, when Nate and Zoe kiss, that they'll be in these exact outfits, like if there's a dance or something. I think that would be kind of really awesome. So Ben decides to throw another capsule at Zoe and it kind of bounces off her and hits Steele. Now, I think this looks kind of cool because it looks like, I don't know, like a Sailor Moon, like a magical girl dress, and he absolutely loves it. So Steele then goes a little bit more above and beyond, and with this, what he does is he brings out these kind of like flowers and chocolates, red roses and heart-shaped chocolate basically. And Nate kind of figures out what Steele means. So he's kind of a little bit annoyed, but Zoe then turns around and says, look, you know, he's figured this out. You know, he kind of put 2 and 2 together and this is what's going on. Nate and Zoe then leave because they've got to look after the mayor. So they're going to go get changed. And Steele kind of like, you know, oh, I'll see you later. After Nate's like, yeah, we'll see you later, Steele. But it's like, oh yeah, I will see you later. I will see you guys very, very soon. We now jump to a scene where the mayor is having tea with a politician, and Nate and Zoe are kind of watching him going over. Zoe's brought over some ramen and they're both hungry. But then like Nate's like, even though this isn't a date, you know, I'm so glad that we're spending time together. And Zoe really, really likes this. So Steele has kind of like come in from nowhere and he actually knocks over Nate's noodles, or his ramen, but they call it noodles in this. From then on, Zoe and Nate start sharing food. It's kind of more like a Lady and the Tramp type moment, you know, with the spaghetti thing that goes on in that scene. As they get kind of closer, they obviously look into each other's eyes, they drop the spaghetti, and it looks like they are going to kiss. At this point, the mayor notices what's going on and he slips away. As Nate and Zoe stop the kiss, which is frustrating because it would have been the first proper kiss that we'd have seen since Mighty Morphing, they realize that the mayor has gone and they rush off. As the mayor is kind of rushing about, Blaze and Roxy teleport in because he's contacted them saying, hey, I'm on my own now. And that's pretty much it. But as soon as Nate and Zoe kind of rush in, Blaze and Roxy just teleport away. The mayor is now really annoyed, mainly because he hasn't got his Morph X. So he takes it out on Zoe and Nate, saying, where were you? You were supposed to protect me. You know, it's only literally a split second, nothing happened. Back at Big Grid Battle Force, the mayor is really angry still. The commander asks what's going on. Nate says it was our fault. And then the commander kind of did some more digging because it's out of character of both Nate and Zoe. So with this, the commander then walks over to the computer, plays the footage back from the garden that they were all in, and they see the kind of kiss going on, and the mayor just literally freaks out and gets really angry. Everyone is kind of really surprised. Devon's like, hang on, you guys are a thing? So Zoe and Nate come clean and say, yes, they have feelings for each other. Nothing has happened, but as they're kind of still talking, the commander like jumps in and has a massive go at them, saying, you know the rules, this is a violation of them. Steele then jumps in and says, look, you know, it was my fault. He kind of shows and says, look, you know, I was the one who spilt the noodles, so you'd have to share Zoe's, etc., etc. And he says something really interesting. He says, like, what are the rules if they're going to make good people unhappy? And I love the fact that Ravi goes in, yeah, he does have a point there. Ravi says, like, this rule made him and Roxy really unhappy. And the mayor just kind of says, let's wrap this up, and starts coughing. as he leaves. And then the commander says, Ravi, Zoe, you're on with the mayor, you go. The mayor is now with the Rangers and he wants to kind of get away from them so he can get some Morph X. And then kind of Blaze and Roxy teleport in. They want to know how to get rid of the Rangers to kind of like create a diversion. So Roxy grabs a girl's tiara and the girl's like, okay, you can take that. And then Blaze and Roxy turn it into Tiara Tron. Tiara Tron attacks Ravi and a whole massive fight kind of starts off. All the way through this, because it kind of jumps a little bit, Ravi has told Zoe to actually look after the mayor and stay by his side, and that's it. So the commander then knows there's a Giga Drone that has just landed as well, and thus therefore Devon's off dealing that with his Zord as well as the Lion Zord. Nate and Steel now rush off to actually fight the Tiara Tron to help protect the mayor. Ravi is using his gorilla strength and obviously overheating. Now Nate and Steel are morphed, they rush in and they try and help Ravi and they take on Tiara Tron. As Nate and Steel are still fighting, we've seen Devon use his Zord and the Lion to take down some drones as well as the Giga Drone, so that keeps happening in the background. Ravi has now gone off to help fight with Nate and Steel. All of a sudden, Blaze and Roxy morph, they come in and they're about to attack. Zoe then decides to actually use the spin saber to actually go and help fight, and it's actually really, really cool. I really like the way that Zoe uses it. Back to Tiara Tron, Ravi has used his visor to actually power up and actually uses, I think, Smash his like hand to actually punch Tiara Tron and then knock Tiara Tron down, which then causes Tiara Tron to explode. I think in this part of the episode, this is the most kind of built up. When Roxy and Blaze are attacking Zoe, Zoe gets absolutely beaten. But as Roxy pulls out guns and shoots Zoe, Nate just jumps in and does this whole kind of protect her, so he gets shot instead. This causes Nate to demorph. But then Zoe, literally, you can see the anger in her face. She is annoyed. She grabs the spin saber and goes on a full-on attack without being morphed. She destroys Blaze and Roxy with the spin saber and then picks up Nate to help him to his feet. And it looks like this would be the best moment for them to kiss, but it doesn't happen. And when I saw this, I was like, God damn it. Why did this not happen? This would have been the most perfect moment. The mayor comes in and he's like, hey, thanks, I owe you one. You helped out on this one. And things seem to be okay. Devon destroys the Giga Drone and that's pretty much it for him. I think in this episode, this is another top moment. So everyone comes back to Grid Battle Force and they start kind of talking about what's going on. The mayor is continuously coughing and the commander gives a speech and she says that she looked at the relationship. She was wrong to impose a rule to stop the relationship because the relationship that the Rangers have built, that is the proper moment. So she then decides to get rid of the rule and says she's going to toast the rule. That's it, she's gone. And I genuinely thought that I wanted Ravi to turn around and say, so what about me and Roxy, hey? And then literally cause a bit of a fuss, because that would have been perfect. It's just one of those moments like, you wouldn't do this for your own son, but you're doing it for your other teammates. Huh? So that kind of really made me laugh on that one. The mayor is now coughing quite a lot and he then runs out the building. So now we come to the cliffhanger of the episode. The mayor is coughing quite a lot and he says that he's unwell and everyone's kind of there to help him. He then runs out the building and everyone's kind of like, oh my God, what's up? He then says, get away from me, and then pushes everyone back and then transforms back into Evox. So with this, he then says like, he was never his father, blah, 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 does the kind of Star Wars thing, and then all of a sudden teleports out after saying the morphing grid will be mine. And then we get the end of the episode. Devon says, Evox and my father are in the same body, and it's cut. We end that episode right there. And I was just like, fair play. This is very good. This is a really good ending. This is a cliffhanger that I really want to know what happens next and how this is going to affect Devon. So my final thoughts. This was one of the best episodes in Beast Morphers so far. It had suspense. It had the romance that we were kind of seeing much earlier on. And it just felt like everything was kind of perfect. It led to this moment. I think what would have been the icing on the cake is if we didn't know that Mayor Daniels was Evox and then you saw this at the end and you're like, oh my God, I did not see this. I did not see any of this coming, and it would have been absolutely perfect. This episode had suspense. It had the cliffhanger that I wanted. I feel like the series is now getting on track. It's now getting the kind of the build up. We kind of had reminiscence of season 1, but this is now kind of taking it to the next level. I generally really like that. I love the fact that Nate and Zoe, they want to be together at first, and then, you know, they've hidden it so well that no one's picked up on this. But their acting in this was just perfect. I really, really liked it. I really hope that they bring back Nate's suit as well as Zoe's dress, so they can have this at the very end when they've defeated Evox and it's a whole dance, you know, it's a party and stuff like that. I think that would be it. I would generally really like it, or if it's on the last scene that they actually kiss at a party or something. I think that would have been perfect, just great. I think that would be the ending that I would want for Beast Morphers. So I am gonna end it there. What did you think about this episode? Did you like it? Did you not? Let me know down below in the comments, and tell me, how do you want Beast Morphers to end in a good way, in case people are like, I hate this, blah, 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 whatever. Let me know how you like to see it end. Would you like to see Zoe and Nate kiss and that's it? Or would you like some sort of different ending? Let me know down below in the comments. And if you like this sort of video and want to see more, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, as well as that cheeky notification bell to be notified when more videos drop. And with that, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.